On Wednesday, March 2nd, rock star Marilyn Manson brought a lawsuit against his ex, Evan Rachel Wood, star of HBO's Westworld, claiming that she and her friend were the masterminds of a conspiracy to bring forward false sexual assault allegations against the rock star. My name is Sina Resvanpour. I'm an attorney, and today I'll be breaking down the allegations in the lawsuit and answering two questions. What is defamation, and what is intentional infliction of emotional distress? Let's jump right into it. The lawsuit was filed right here in Los Angeles Superior Court, and you start every lawsuit by filing a document that we call the complaint. The complaint lists a bunch of claims. We call those allegations, and it names certain defendants. Those are the people that you're claiming did something wrong. In this case, that's Evan Rachel Wood and her friend Illma Gore. The basis of the lawsuit is that Marilyn Manson is claiming that Evan Rachel Wood and Illma Gore put their heads together. They conspired to convince women to bring forward sexual assault allegations that were not true. He's saying they did this to ruin his name, to ruin his reputation and his business, and to cause him emotional distress. The way that he's saying this in the lawsuit is through what we call a cause of action, or multiple causes of action. The causes of action here are for defamation and for intentional infliction of emotional distress. There could be other causes of action, but we're going to focus on those two today. To better understand each of these causes of action, we're going to look at what we call the California civil jury instructions. What a jury instruction is, it's an actual instruction that's read by the judge to the jury at the end of trial, after all of the evidence has been put on and all the arguments have been made, and before the jury actually goes into the deliberation room. The instructions tell them how to digest all of this information and how to come to the conclusion about whether defamation has occurred, whether intentional infliction of emotional distress has occurred, or any other causes of action if all the necessary elements have been made. It then tells them to then go ahead and decide how much is that worth. If any of the key elements are missing, then the instructions will say, do not award any money to the plaintiff, in this case, Marilyn Manson. Now let's take a look at the jury instructions for defamation. I'll put a link, by the way, for both of the jury instructions that I'm talking about today in the description below. So the elements of defamation include the defendants making a false statement. This false statement is about the plaintiff. The statement was made to somebody other than the plaintiff, and that the defendants knew that the statement was not true at the time that they made it. If the plaintiff, like in this case, is a public figure, then the false statement needs to be extra bad. I'm really summarizing that here, but for example, saying that someone has committed an illegal act when they haven't, that would be considered defamation. So if we apply that to Manson's case, he's claiming that they said that he was a sexual abuser, that he was a sexual assaulter, when that simply wasn't true, and they knew that that wasn't true at the time they were saying it. So if he's able to prove all the elements of defamation, next we look towards damages. Damages is a word to describe the value of the harm that was caused to him. He has lost out on business opportunities. I think he's claiming that he was dropped from his record label, and likely that he lost out on advertising opportunities. Those would all be considered as part of his damages. Now let's take a look at intentional infliction of emotional distress. It's never easy to say. It's a tongue twister every single time. But to understand that, we'll take a look at jury instruction 1600. The first element of intentional infliction of emotional distress is that the defendants did something that was outrageous. I know the word outrageous can sound pretty vague. It's kind of funny to hear it in a legal context, but it's basically conduct that in a civilized community is considered shocking. The next element is that the defendants did this outrageous behavior with the intention of causing emotional distress to the plaintiff. The final elements are that the plaintiff actually did suffer emotional distress, but not just any emotional distress, severe emotional distress, and that the defendant's conduct was a substantial factor in causing that emotional distress. So to put that all back into English, it means that Manson will have to prove that Illma Gore and Evan Rachel Wood, their conspiracy to bring forward these women was outrageous conduct, and that they did this outrageous conduct with the intention of causing Marilyn Manson a lot of emotional distress, and that Marilyn Manson did suffer severe emotional distress because of this conduct. So I actually know very little about the details of what's happened between these three people. So if you know anything about this, I want you to comment below and let me know. Do you think that Marilyn Manson has suffered defamation or intentional infliction of emotional distress? Keep in mind there has been no official word from either of the defendants at this point, but that's totally normal. They have 30 days from the day that they were sued to file a response with the court. So you likely had heard of defamation before. Maybe you had heard of intentional infliction of emotional distress, but hopefully by now you understand that for each one of those, there's certain elements that need to be met to have a successful case. If you have any questions about what we discussed in today's video, leave them in the comment section. My name is Sina Resvanpour, and this is not legal advice.